Hello, hello. This is the 130th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2223, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. And today we have a pretty full episode.
A pretty full one, and also a thunderstorm going on.
Yes.
Which occasionally, at least earlier it was super loud, yeah. So if our listeners, if you hear that thundering, rumbling in the background, it's a thunderstorm.
Yeah. These are our natural sound effects. Mm-hmm. And we have a very peaceful episode today.
To offset that.
Exactly. As a counterbalance, it's a thunderstorm going on outside at the same time. And it's not just an episode with a thunderstorm. And not just a peaceful episode, but we have a special guest today.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Shall I explain to the listeners? Yes.
Please do.
So our guest today is the founder of the famous Cycle Your Heart Out movement.
Mm-hmm. World famous, I'd say.
World famous, exactly. And as the listeners in our time know, that this movement in our time lies at the base of the yearly World Relay Heart Route, which starts on 2nd of July every year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's been going on for a while. And the astounding part, and that's why we have this on our show today, this movement was founded over 200 years ago.
True, yeah.
And we're speaking to the founder today.
Mm-hmm.
How is that even possible?
Well, and that exactly thereby lays a tale, yeah. How can a person who founded this organization over 200 years ago, how can there be a guest today?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So we're about to find out. Mm-hmm. So I would say, welcome on the show, Sarah.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Dirk. I'm so grateful to be on the show today. You have no idea.
We're also really, really happy to have you. We've had a few guests on the show, spontaneous guests.
Right, but no one so famous yet.
Although we've had a Roman emperor on the show.
I mean, he would have been famous in his time, but he was no longer famous today,
exactly.
In the year 2223.
True.
Where Sarah here, she's famous now, today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Michael Lasagna, he's really rich.
Yep. He is a really rich person. Just I don't think he's famous in the same way as the founder of the Cycle Your Heart Out movement. Okay, so sorry, Sarah. We just started going off topic about other guests. It's about you today, and we're really happy to have you here, and especially the fact that you were born 240 years ago. So first question before we get into the actual topic, how come we're talking to you?
Yeah, that's I still can't believe I'm here. I actually, when I turned 100 years old, I decided that I wanted to be frozen, because when I started the movement, I really wanted to see the positive impact that Cycle Your Heart Out would have on the world. So, yeah, when I turned 100, it became available. So I thought, yeah, let me get frozen 200 years so that I can see how it had maybe sent ripples out, and if all the heartful cyclists that I taught had actually, continued to spread the movement to every part of to all the parts of the world, and created a more heartful, loving world.
So you're saying you were frozen when you were 100? So that must have been...
Yeah.
Well, my math is really bad, but you must have been one of the first
140 years ago, yeah. One of the... You mentioned it was... So it just became available when you were 100?
It just become available. I was actually really not ever wanting to even, even contemplate it, but I just needed to see how the world, if it would,
if I can ask,
change.
Before you were frozen then, how was it going before you were frozen? Like up to that point, was it taking off? Was it, so you expected that it would continue growing, and that's why you wanted to freeze yourself?
Yeah. It was going so well. And basically I had been training so many people to become heartful cyclists too, thanks to my online course, that it had just exploded. It just became every part of the globe was which I'm gonna I'd love to share a bit more later about
please do, because I just realized
World Relay
here in the year 2223, everyone of course knows all about it, but some of our listeners 200 years ago, they may not be so familiar.
I think you ask anybody on the street here, they will be able to tell you what this is about. But our listeners,
we might, exactly. If you could give us a brief explanation, what it is, Sarah, that way our listeners can understand too.
Yeah. So basically, heartful cycling is about creating a heart-shaped bicycle route to create a more heartful, loving world. What heartful cycling is all about is it empowers you to embrace the present moment and help you ride home to your true self. It helps you listen to your own heart with compassion, and I like to say it allows your own love to spin out from under you onto all of those around you. And that's basically what it is. It's a beautiful, it's a blend of in setting an intention. It's a blend of meditation, heartfulness, and conscious breathing. Basically, when you create, sorry.
I had just one question. Just is, how important is the fact that it's the shape of a heart?
Yeah, so I mean, when I started it, I really, the idea was to follow your heart. When you follow your heart, you are able to, be your true self. So that's the reason why I started a heart. But since then, I know that the whole GPS art movement has gone. It's amazing. The shapes, the pictures that people can draw in the earth. It's incredible.
Indeed. I've seen marriage proposals, for example.
Yeah.
Like over the whole of Japan, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm also going to pretend I'm hearing this for the first time, just to allow our listeners to get a grasp on it as well. And I know in the 23rd century, creating a route the shape of a heart is relatively straightforward, especially if you use a hover bike or so. But back in the 21st century, what I understand is people rode on the streets. That must have been pretty hard to create a heart-shaped route.
Right, there would have been buildings in the way, I guess, and other obstacles.
I love how you say it's pretty hard, because it's like waking up now and I'm just baffled by how many options there are. I mean, but no, back then it was really simple. We had maps, like the flat printed maps, which you guys, I don't think you use them anymore, do you? Because the world is
printed like on a T-shirt, or what do you mean?
So we used to have physical, paper. Paper. You don't have paper anymore, do you?
Like books in the museum.
Yeah.
Flat, made from trees, basically. The tree bark was made into like this flat paper, so they would make maps. And
so you'd cycle on I misunderstood. I thought all this time, meaning 200 years ago, I thought the idea was you were riding around on the real roads and streets. But you're saying you laid out these huge pieces of paper with the hearts on, and you were tracing the paper, meaning tracing the route on the paper?
It does sound like that, doesn't it? No, just to plan the map. So we would plot the map. We'd get some colored pens, when we used to use pens. So we would draw the route before we actually physically did it on the real, pavement.
Okay. And then would you? I think I heard about this. Did you then also put paint on the wheels of your bike, so that as you rode around, it would actually make the draw the heart on the real roads and streets, and then you could send up a drone to take a photo, and then you would see your actual heart.
I don't think they had drones.
That actually didn't happen in my lifetime, but that's something I know is possible now. But no, but I did.
Were there drones 200 years ago, Sarah?
We had drones, sorry, but the actual hearts, and I had these, the rubber of the wheel, so they were ingrained. So if you went, for example, over sand, or if you went over the wet surface, then you would see the tracks. But no, it wasn't. That's something I'm excited to explore now. But no, back then it was. So
there wasn't a permanent. Right, there wouldn't be a permanent mark on the floor, on the ground.
No, there wouldn't.
Okay, but the people taking part. I'm being a little bit silly because I do understand. That sounds funny for me, but as the way I understood it, the point is the actual cycling, not the physical picture of the heart.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, so the physical one would be on the map, the thing on paper, but we would also record on our phones. And we would then have a picture of the what do you call it back then? The GPS. So you would see the actual physical shape of the heart if you were to look on, your GPS device. So I think now it's a lot different. I haven't actually, I'm still yet to I have done a heart route. I'll tell you about that in a bit, but I haven't. Yeah, there's so many different technology. I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I just got unfrozen 1 month ago, I think it was. So I'm
I was going to ask about that. That I can just imagine in a month there's probably quite a few things on the 23rd century that you're still trying to get a hold of.
Yeah. There's a lot.
I can imagine. And also one question before we get to some of the details. What we understood from our listeners, like we have a lot of stuff in the 23rd century that wasn't around back then, but they did have podcasts in the 21st century, what I understood.
We did.
So have you, is this your first podcast
this
appearance?
Is my first podcast in 200 years. So I think that's why I'm a little nervous.
I'm still trying to get them all together because the movement was founded over 240 years ago. So this is probably not, because we send...
No, not that. Was it that long ago?
See, I'm not...
I mean, we can ask directly. Hey, Sarah, when was your movement founded?
2011.
2011. Okay, so that's 222 years ago. That's pretty... No, wait, no. It's 212. That would have been really cool if it was 222. 212. Okay, so the movement, the Cycle Your Heart Out movement, that's 212 years old, yeah?
So this is a 23rd century math podcast now.
Yeah, we're really good at it.
Yes.
Our listeners know.
Exactly. Our listeners know we totally get our numbers right. But then, Sarah, I think something that would be really interesting for our listeners, because it started already in the time where they are alive, the World Heart Relay Route. So you briefly touched upon it before. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, sure. I'm excited to share. So basically, every 2nd of July, people create a heart route, and then they tag the next country physically, if they can, to inspire them to create a heart route too. So the idea behind this was to help the ripple effect to organically spread as much loving energy around the world as possible. This idea first came to me in 2011 when I actually started Cycle Your Heart Out. But it took me till 2024 to actually bring it to life because, various reasons. But the reason why it's on the 2nd of July is because that's when I launched the project. And it's also, one day before my birthday. So I thought it would be awesome to always celebrate each year with a heart-shaped route.
Okay. So, but they will cycle a heart-shaped route in a country and then tag the next country. So if we use France as an example, they would cycle a heart-shaped route in France and then tag Switzerland. And then they would follow and do the same.
But then actually something you mentioned, so I had a question. So you said they tag them and then the next country creates the route. So are they allowed to prepare the route in advance? Or
yeah,
are they
of course,
Okay, they can have one in advance.
Because they know that happens every July. So people they look forward to it. They plan all their heart routes outright. When I first did it in 2024, what I did was I did it from London to Paris. So I had a group of people with me and we cycled a heart route which touched upon Paris, and then when we got to Paris,
there weren't hover bikes back then, were there?
No, we had to take the Euro, what was it called? Foggy brain fog, the Euro,
the train that goes under the ground.
Exactly. Exactly. And then we continued cycling to Paris, and then when we tagged, it was great. There was a massive line of people waiting to be tagged, and then they went on and did their heart route, and they tagged the next country. So, it's not always that they have to physically, tag the next country with their bodies. But back then we used to have social media. You don't have that anymore, do you?
Social media? No,
I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
doesn't ring a bell.
Social media was like where you would like virtually right on your phone. You could be like, here's my heart route, and then you would kind of like write the name of a person using like an @ symbol. Do you know what an @ symbol is? I don't know if you guys have that.
Probably, yeah. It's this squiggly thing, yeah.
the squiggly thing, and then basically then they would kind of be inspired to do it. So it was physical as well as
digital or virtual. I like the idea because if we stick to the France-Switzerland example, so if France then tags, I don't know, Switzerland, and Switzerland tags Austria and whatever, and then it can get pretty complicated, because if they skip Italy and they move on, they can't go back and tag Italy because the movement has already gone to, I don't know, Bulgaria or whatever.
Well, it's too far away.
So I can imagine.
No, I mean, I understand what you mean. And I think when I started it, the reason why it took me like 13 years to start it was because of all the little details that used to kind of hold me back. But then when I put it out there in the world, it's just amazing how each country was just able, like, imagine, like, for example, millions of people in the same country, or thousands of people doing heart roots. So there was so much land covered that there was no one really leaving out any part. It's not like one group of people doing it. It's like hundreds and thousands of people doing it. So it's like,
now I get it. They all make their own heart roots, and then they touch upon Italy and Austria and
everyone's making their own. Yeah, some people are doing them with other groups, but a lot of people are just solo cyclists. So it was like insane. Like, I remember the day when I checked there was like an app made for the whole movement, and you could see just how many hearts were being made just on that day. And then like it continued for many weeks, months afterwards, because
you can see really the ripple effect going in all the rest of the world.
Oh, it was amazing.
But I can imagine 21st century people living in San Marino will be a whole lot more relaxing than living in, I don't know, China. Like the heart roots in San Marino, I guess,
are smaller, or
I guess, yeah. Or can they also be small if you're in a really big country?
Right, is the route meant to be as large as the country? Or you can have lots of small ones?
My smallest heart route was like a 10-minute ride. Like, I mean, there's no right or wrong. It can be as large.
Okay, it doesn't have to cover most of the country.
And then that's how it can take many months to go around the whole world.
Yes, I get it. And now little routes bordering each other until you get to a border, crossing the border.
Yeah. We may have oversold. So, to be honest, Sarah, we of course know about the Cycle Your Heart Out thing because it happens every year, super famous, but never actually taken part. So that's why these kinds of details still got questions about them,
Yeah. And then, what's crazy when I woke up is that I was just like blown away that it was still continuing, and that it really
that must have been gratifying.
Yeah, and I was made aware that, like, back when I was around, the mental health pandemic was insane. It was at an all-time high, and that since I've been unfrozen, like, it's just, I'm still catching up on it now, and probably more than me. Like, I'm like reading about all of the positive impact that it had on creating more loving communities, and yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, there's been all kinds of contributing factors to that, but it definitely has been a big one.
It's I can imagine, like, the people that are currently steering the whole movement, they will have heard of you, but now suddenly speak to you, right?
Right. Have you had any conversations with the current folk in charge?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I never wanted it to be just like, one person managing the whole thing. I just wanted it to be like,
there are many groups, but you know what I mean? Like, there's people who have been involved with for decades now. So I can imagine they would have been really happy to speak to you if you have spoken to them.
It was a beautiful reunion I had 2 weeks ago that they'd organized, and it was
nice.
It was just it was just I don't know, I'm speechless basically. It's still brain fog, but just to hear about what their plans are as well for the next 100 years. I don't know if I'll be around, but what's coming up. And I couldn't believe it. My old bicycle, they'd kept it. So my old bicycle, and it still works. It's crazy.
And that's the one that you have to move around on the ground, right?
The ground one. Well, obviously I'm 100 now, so I'm not as nimble as I was. So, I am interested more. Well, I'm actually going to be trying it out. I can't wait to do the world, the relay heart route, because, they've just actually fitted some cool, like, I don't know if it's called a hologram, but they've put put these like oh God, I can't speak. I'm just so excited about it. I think it's something that I've dreamed of for so long, and I can't believe it's happening. But they've put these like hologram filters, I guess, so that I think, like you said earlier, is that there's going to be real hearts that actually trail behind me as I ride, so that I don't think you call them, is it drones? That you still call them drones?
We have drones, yeah,
we do,
like drone cams, for example.
Okay, yeah, so they're going to be able to capture. The idea is that these
also just cams everywhere.
Filters.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like it. So they've kept your old bike, but then kind of made it future-proof.
Yeah. So
have you had time, Sarah? Have you checked out, like I mentioned, maybe you're not aware of it yet. So we've had for many decades a global system of cams. So everything that happens anywhere is always recorded and can always be looked back at. So have you looked back at any previous heart routes from the last 140 years?
I started to when I had the reunion a few weeks ago, and I'm working my way through. I still can't believe that.
You don't have to watch them all, yeah.
Almost every country. I love looking back at my ones from when I think back to my. I had a lot of special memories from a lot of my heart rates, but I think the one that was the biggest change was when I did it in Paris in 2022. That was when
long before the cam network, but you have your own memories of it.
Yeah, long before the camera memories. Yeah, but no, I'm enjoying going through it. There's never a dull moment now. I'm on through.
Sure.
I can, if you get around to the to speaking to the people currently driving the movement, ask them about the chorus first. It's like a virtual world. I can totally imagine some.
That would be really amazing for
heart-shaped routes in there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What is it?
Really interesting. It's like a virtual world.
It's called the chorus verse.
Yeah.
Chorus verse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's you can basically log into it from wherever. And then it's basically a virtual world where everybody spends a whole lot of time. Would make totally sense to replicate the whole movement in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't been in it yet, but it would be cool. I mean, it would be cool to
guess
like
you've got,
create.
Are you making like notes of things that people mention that you should check out? Yeah,
got a whole journal full of them. But it would be cool to do it for that, because I used to do guided visualization meditations where I would say to people, like imagine you are like in a forest, etc. But to be able to now immerse people in it,
they could actually be in the forest, like meaning not obviously they could in a real one, but also in a virtual one.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
You mentioned before that they kept your old bike, right? So they've like when you were frozen, there was stuff from the 21st century that they kept. Did they keep anything else from the 21st century? We're really interested in old tech, as we call it.
Yeah.
So did they keep anything? Did they keep books? Because we keep hearing about books, but
you don't have books now, do you? Well, actually, I mean, I found out recently that the first book I ever wrote in 2021 was just found it in Goa, in India.
And they found a book, like a paper book,
or like an original edition. Or
so this was I remember actually I was at a wedding for a friend, and I remember leaving this it was my first ever bicycle poetry book, and I left it in this really cute art place in. I can't remember the name of the beach, but I left it there. And apparently now it's been uncovered. And because books are super rare right now, it's been... What's that name of that museum where they put ancient books in?
We saw it at the President Gaga Library in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
They have some of them on display, but we're not allowed to touch them.
No.
Okay. Why is it? Because why can't you touch them?
They're too delicate.
Yeah.
Too delicate,
valuable.
They're afraid it will break if we touch it. I don't know. I've never touched paper, so.
Right. Okay.
That's
makes
probably
sense.
it.
I'd like to take a visit to this museum, though. I hear you've got like those what's it called now? I don't need to fly anymore. You don't have airplanes. How do I get to?
Probably
teleporting is the easiest way.
That's probably the easiest way. Yeah. I think we were speaking before about you being frozen, apparently with your bicycle. Of course, you were a bit of a celebrity. Like we all knew you were frozen. You were gonna be woken up. But there's been a lot of rumors. We have to address the rumors.
Okay.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be proper interviewers. Like they were saying that you were frozen together with a reindeer and a snowman. So that's
right, like to keep you company, I think, or something.
So is that true, or is that like urban legend?
That's hilarious. That was actually kind of a joke, an in-joke that I had with my friend before I was frozen. And I didn't know that would actually happen. But no, it's just a rumor. I was actually, you probably know now, I was actually frozen with my partner, the love of my life. And I can't say who he is because in case my younger self hears this episode. So I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, exactly. But I know that she's going to be very surprised who it is.
Oh, this is interesting. I hadn't thought of this. There's a chance that your younger self is going to hear you speak.
Did your younger self listen to many podcasts?
I mean, this time she was
200.
I don't know. I was listening to podcast. I'd started my own podcast. I think I'd only made like 2 episodes, but I wasn't like massively listening to loads. I mean, I don't think I would have listened necessarily to like sci-fi ones. I was listening to more like.
I mean, we're not science fiction; we're science fact. But you mean
no, exactly.
Listen to science,
but I don't know what category this. So I don't know if she'll hear
thing.
it, but just in case, just in case.
But then do you have any advice for your younger self? Like, don't invest in this stock, or
I mean,
no, I can't go down that
route. Don't
route.
book that holiday to Maldives. No.
No, I can't go down that route.
Okay.
It's probably wise.
Yeah, that's probably smart as well. We try to avoid these kind of.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of like focusing just on like I'm so interested in what's happened now. You mentioned something about a diamond. What were you saying?
Yeah.
Before the show?
Exactly. That's because there's a few things that happened while you were frozen, of course, and those are like the spin-offs. It's like there's the diamond route movement or the spades route movement. There's quite a
cool.
So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm happy that it seems to have helped. That my movement has inspired people to use their creativity. Also, I hear that they are positive movements. So to leave this positive imprint on the earth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And sure, I mean, of course, part of it is just big playing cards trying to get in on the action. But that's fair enough. People do need playing cards. Makes sense that they also get bicycle routes out there.
And then you can fund the movement, of course, and then spread the word.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, art is art. People use it in their own way, so it's cool. Maybe I'll make a big diamond.
I heard discussions about the future routes, of course, next year, or I guess the planning for next year is already starting. And I heard you guys were considering 3-dimensional routes with hover bikes, like creating 3-dimensional hard routes.
Because that's been something that's been proposed many times over the years. But there's so many folk who are like, that will just overcomplicate things, like that's an unnecessary layer. But now that you're back, I think they're like, hey, now the founder's here, maybe we can really get this off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to create a 3D. It's something that was in the work now for the World Relay, the next World Relay. But yeah, the hover bikes that I have just recently actually did a heart route with. I actually did one last week, and being 100, it was much easier to use than the manual bicycle. So it was so much fun using them. I actually did it. The heart route was to celebrate me and my love's anniversary because those added couple of 100 years made us apparently the longest standing couple. So it was extra romantic.
Nice. A lot of record breaking. I also like it how Simon, you said to get it off the ground. Like that.
Thanks for appreciating the wordplay there.
I just wanted to.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I love hover bikes. I really love them. But 3D heart routes definitely is in the making.
Mm-hmm. Sounds cool.
I think maybe it's time to start wrapping up. Is there anything in particular that you want to tell our listeners? Any closing message? Anything particularly important that you want to end with?
I'd love to. Thank you. I actually have the same message, which I've been saying now for 2 centuries, which is my wish for you all is love. So much love that it spins out from under you onto all of those around you. Your wheels are your paint and the world is your canvas.
Nice. That sounds like really good closing words.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Thank you. And if people are, back then we had websites. So if you're website is a
like
page.
Places for spiders? Go on.
A web, I get that. No, it's computer, and it was basically the computers in the museum.
Okay, I mean, you don't need to explain it to us if you think our listeners 200 years ago will understand it.
They understand a whole lot, our listeners.
Yes, they know a lot of things more than we do. Yeah. So you wanted to tell them something about that?
Yeah, if they're listening to this now, they can visit my website, which is cycleyourheartout.com, and they can learn then how to become heartful cyclists, to kickstart the movement even more. Oh, wait, my dog has just walked over my...
Oh, that's okay.
My pad. Okay, you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. This has been just amazing. It's a great way to for myself, help for myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and thanks a lot for being our guest. We I was going to say we haven't had a guest from so long ago, but we've had
2,000 years ago.
We've had but thanks. For being such a famous guest on our show.
Definitely.
And who knows, maybe this episode actually helps kickstart the movement and then explaining why it grew so big.
Maybe, but then you're even affecting your own younger self, Sarah.
Yeah.
Maybe let's not hope that much, but maybe it happens anyway. Yeah.
If any of our listeners hearing this and go like, this sounds like a great idea, thanks for thinking that.
Yep, definitely run with it, and maybe just don't go tell Sarah in the past.
Yes. I hope that you both join me. You mentioned you haven't been on a heart yet, so I hope that you join me for the World Relay.
Totally. Can you also...
For sure.
Are we allowed to use hover skates or swim or... or teleport a heart-shaped route around the country?
Thanks for mentioning. I actually I say since the last before I was frozen, people would sometimes, if it wasn't possible to ride a bicycle, not every country was able to, so they could swim a heart route, they could walk a heart route, they could run a heart route. It didn't have to for people that couldn't cycle.
So skydiving is also possible, because I enjoy skydiving through portals, so you can just keep skydiving for hours on end.
There's just so many ways to make a heart route, so I'm excited to see.
I'm going to teleport a heart route.
Very nice, very nice.
Amazing. Okay, I can't wait to see it.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Then thanks again. And thanks to our listeners for listening.
Oh, you're wrapping it up?
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, it's good to wrap it up, but before you wrap it up in that way...
Yes.
So,
you caught me.
Exactly. Listeners in the past who have just listened to this really... interesting episode with Sarah, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com with the number 130 in the subject line, and any comments, maybe even questions for Sarah in the email. Possibly we'll ask her those in a future episode.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But now I can say my thing.
Please do.
Then thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.